All right, hello, good day, everyone. This is actually it's actually a very special honor today for me because I get to interview one of my heroes of herbalism and honestly, the one who inspired me to begin getting into medicinal mushrooms at all. Today, we are interviewing Dr. Terry Willard, the founder of the Wild Rose College of Herbalism and presenter at the Medicinal Mushroom Symposium. So we're so excited to have you as a speaker, Terry Willard.
Thank you. It's nice to see you again. Don't get out that neck of the woods with the lockdown and all.
Well, Calgary is definitely doing very well. We're doing very well. So I guess I was going to ask you if you could give us a little, a little teaser of like just to give us a little description of what you're going to be presenting on during the Medicinal Mushroom Symposium.
Well, I'm going to take a huge step backwards in talking about it, and I'm going to start my discussion on medicinal mushrooms with the beginning of the universe, somewhere between 13.4 to 16.9 billion years ago, with the Big Bang, as it would be. I'm going to start there and I'm going to pan out and try to understand how biological systems communicate or signal with each other. And once we understand how the signaling works, it'll help us unravel how medicinal mushrooms, or any substance for that matter, will actually come and communicate with us to be able to work as a medicine. The reason that funguses are so important, they were one of the first organisms that literally terraformed our planet, or should I say, literally conquered the land. There was funguses, mushrooms in the area where Calgary is right now, way before there was plants. Many billion years ago, we find that those mushrooms were there growing, and they're the thing that turned the volcanic ash into soil that other vegetation come along, and then herbivores and other things. So I want to take a giant step backwards there so we can understand the process of signaling, so we can work with how medicinal mushrooms work. And I'm suggesting medicinal mushrooms have kind of a special role. Not only they were the beginning and their communication with the microorganisms from the beginning of time, they also have a direct link on electromagnetic frequency as well as a chemical frequency. So I'm going to try to weave together a little bit of the physics, a little bit of the myth and the magic, and try to show how we can get these chemicals in them, or the actual fungi community, the mycelium, the mushrooms, and work with this. Then I'm going to go along and try to discuss what's in the marketplace. I'm going to take you on a little bit of a travel log tour. Before this whole COVID 19 thing happened, my son, who is another speaker on your thing, Yarrow Willard, the Herbal Jedi, and myself spent quite a bit of time in Asia. We were at the 10th or the 10th International Medicinal Mushroom Conference just out of Shanghai, and we did that, and we went for another 2 week touring some of the facilities that grow the mushrooms that we use, manufacture and work with it. So we can walk you through the process. You can actually see the farmers in the grounds, how they're working with it. We go up to Nine Dragon Mountain, which is one of the greatest sacred places on the planet, where the reishi we use grows. And we go into the farmers and we look in their little things, and go through the process of seeing how they grow and how they're harvested, etc. And then they would go through the whole process of making them into the medicinal substances that you can obtain now, some of which you have in your store there in Calgary. So I wanted to make sure that people could see the long idea of history, and then the phenomena of the different ways that the mushrooms come to market. I also really want to delve deeply into the controversy. Is mycelium based mushrooms better, or fruiting body mushrooms better? This becomes very significant because really there's an awful lot of product on the market that people are selling as medicinal mushrooms, which is mislabeled. There might be medicinal myceliums,
Mhm.
and we want to look at that and see which is best for you. sometimes buying a really economical mycelium might not be as good as getting a fruiting body. But I'll leave that to the talk to see what I take in my life and what I use with my patients.
Absolutely. It's a very exciting time for humanity, isn't it? With all
Yeah,
this new
very much.
technology of mushroom cultivation. And definitely mushrooms are part of the fabric of life. And you must be pretty excited. I know I've got your book here, written in 1990
Yes, that's an old one, out of print now, but yes.
when I was 3 years old. So you've been working on this for 30 years of.
Oh yes, definitely, definitely. Well, I've been working on it for almost 50, but because I wrote a thesis in university in 1972 on ethnomycology, and that was a thesis on how cultures were driven by the funguses and how the cultures were actually how culture evolution happened because of mushroom based things. So of course, I grew up in the 60s and the 70s, so the idea of mushrooms back there is, yeah, we looked at farmers fields out in BC or in Vancouver Island where I am right now to see if they had any magic mushrooms around so we could go journey to various parts of the universe. So my interest in mushrooms comes from that period of time, both from an academic point of view and from, should I say, um, a spiritual cosmonaut traveling through the realms of the universe.
It must be kind of gratifying to see our culture sort of embracing them. When I first read your book here, it made me really wonder how come not many more of us are having the reishi, drinking the reishi tea. Why wouldn't people want to do that? But
Absolutely. Well, there's a myth in China. If you drink reishi tea on a regular basis, you're going to live for 10,000 years. And so, well, I've got mine here too.
yeah,
So I drink it on a very regular basis, but and virtually every day. I'm at an older age now, so I tend to mix it quite a bit with good quality ginseng.
mm,
In my favorite ginseng farm in Japan, actually, that I'm lucky enough to be able to get solid extract from. But anyway, mixing those two together really create longevity. We can see that in the mythos. I think after about 9,000 years, I'm going to stop drinking it because I might get a little bored, But this body might be getting really crepit by that point in time. But all kidding aside with the longevity thing, I really believe that the medicinal mushrooms helps us create coherence in the hologram that we consider ourselves as beings. That's emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and physically. And that's why I use it for many years in all my really critical ill patients. May they be cancer, may they be chronic fatigue, may they be irritable bowel, Crohn's, colitis, SIBO, all of these various things. The funguses communicate at such a subtle level on the electromagnetic level and with the microbiome in our body to be able to readjust the hologram that we call us. And that helps create the hologram in our reality. And people say, wait a second, how can these things be able to work with the fabric of the nature to be able to readjust a hologram? And it says, you weren't doing the same mushrooms I was doing in the 60s and 70s, that's for sure. They can obviously do that in many realms. And so being able to work with some of the medicinal mushrooms, we can be able to adjust that. Certainly some of the psychotropic ones will also add to that function, but this talk is mostly just on the medicinal mushrooms.
it's true that when you start drinking reishi, I've noticed this feeling, and I'm sure you must notice it too, that it's almost as though the consciousness of reishi takes charge, and like I'm actually not in charge here. Like the reishi is
Instead of driving with the baby on board, you're driving with the reishi on board.
oh yeah,
I would tend to agree with what you're saying because it helps readjust the whole phenomena. It really does help with a form of consciousness. There's a byline in China that I really like for reishi. They give little nicknames or little short sentences to help the students remember it. And one of the ones for reishi is to protect an academic from their own brain.
Oh,
Meaning that, and I resemble that quite a bit, being an academic, as it were. An awful lot of people think too much. Well, reishi is really good at taking you out of your head and bringing you into your heart. Not a bad goal for a medicinal substance to do. And because of that whole phenomena, what it does is it kind of helps you go to meditation. One of my professor patients that I had, back in the 80s, after I was giving it to him while he was too academic, wasn't being able to sleep, etc., too much in his head. And I said, well, how does it work? He says, well, it's kind of like an extra half hour's worth of meditation a day. Meditation in a bottle, meditation in a tea, not a bad goal either. So really what we're doing is we're seeing that they go across the line of just working on the physical realm, as you said. They work on the psychological realm, or they work on keeping us steady. There's all kinds of functions in reishi that are very similar to beta blockers that people take for heart problems, but we can use it for all kinds of cardiovascular problems for sure. Reishi is a real builder, but so is cordyceps and many other ones, and we'll get into that a little bit. I'm in my talk, I'm going to be talking about the broad stroke pictures instead of the this is good for that, that, and that. Some of the other speakers can talk on that, and you can get that information in my books or other books. I know my son has a really nice mushroom course that you can take for free through Wild Rose College, and so you can go through that. So it's been kind of a, should I say, a family fascination for up to 50 years for us to work with this.
right on. It's so fascinating how, this symposium also just kind of organized itself. This mushroom symposium, we're hoping for it to be an annual thing, and hopefully one day we can have it in person. That would be really fun.
Yeah, I would love to come back to my hometown, Calgary, but right now Vancouver Island's all right. But when you say it organizes itself, it reminds me the most complex subway system in the world is in Tokyo. And actually, after I finished, I have a product line in Japan. So after I finished my tour for 2 weeks with Yarrow and film crew and stuff like that through China, I went and spent 3 weeks with my youngest son in Japan because I had to do a lecture tour in Japan to support my product line there. And the complexity of the subway system and the train system is just absolutely amazing. It's 6 layers, 6 floors of various trains and subways going in different directions. And it's so complex, they couldn't really map it out how they were going to do it. So when they were trying to design it, they really decided that they're going to let the mushrooms guide them. So they took various fungi and they put the food at where the subway station is going to be. And they started that, and they watched the mycelium network grow. And then they followed the map of the myceliums to do the engineering to decide how the subway systems are going and the bullet trains, et cetera, et cetera. So, I mean, talking about organization, yes, fungi are a little bit more organized than we think they are.
Wow. Well, Dr. Terry Willard, we are so excited for your presentation. This is a very timely time to be talking fungi. We are going to be seeing you. Oh man, I forget when your presentation is, but
they can check the schedule below.
Yeah, the schedule is up on our website. We're going to be having some fun here, the fun guys.
Yeah, us fun guys will get there. I think there's some fun gals too. We're going to be able to work with the force wherever it will be. It'll guide us.
Okay, right on. See you March 22nd to the 26th, Medicinal Mushroom Symposium.